Do you want to see my crazy weight loss transformation? 7 years ago, I looked like this. 3 years later, I was able to drop 20 kilos and achieved this physique. 4 years after that, I've continued to maintain my leanness and continue to put on muscle. And in this video, I'm going to give you the blueprint of how I lost all the weight, gained a bunch of muscle, and what mistakes to avoid so you can do it in 1/3 of the time. There are 8 components to this blueprint, and I won't lie, they do take a bit of work, but if you put the work in now, you will never have to struggle with your weight again. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Bailey, and I help busy men get into their best physical shape whilst enjoying the foods they love. So if you want more of that, make sure to subscribe. But now, onto the blueprint. Component number 1, it's all about the diet. When I first started trying to lose weight, I would smash myself with exercise and weigh myself a week later and wonder why I hadn't lost weight yet. What it actually came down to was me just eating too much food. Notice how I said too much food. That's because fat burning comes down to the age-old principle of a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit simply means that you are consuming less energy than your body is using on a daily or weekly basis. Component number 2, the magic number. So now that you know you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat, we need to calculate our calorie deficit. This one is really simple. Follow the link that's in the description of this video and we'll run through it together right now.
Alright, so you can click the link that's in the description of this video, or you can type it into Google like I am here. So going to tdeecalculator.net will bring up this page to allow us to calculate our calorie deficit. So I'm going to do it on myself just as an example. So me, I am 24 years old, a male, I weigh 86 kilos, I'm 183 centimeters tall, and I work out intensely. Remember, this has to be intense workouts 4 to 5 times a week. So I'm going to click moderate exercise. Don't worry about body fat percentage. Then you can click calculate and you have your maintenance calories. What I like to do, just for simplicity's sake, is round to the nearest 100. So for me, my maintenance is going to be 2,900 calories. And to calculate our calorie deficit, you're going to need a calculator, or if you're better at maths than I am, you can do it in your head. So going into the calculator, you can type in my maintenance calories, which is 2,900 minus 500 calories, gives me 2,400 calories. 2,400 calories is going to be my calorie deficit. A 500 calorie deficit for most people is going to allow you to lose around half a kilo of fat per week. But if you are struggling with the number or consistently hitting it, you feel like you're going over too often, then bring the calories up by 100 calories or so. This number that you calculate is the number that you're going to put into the calorie tracking app that I'm going to talk about next.
Component number 3, pick your app. To make sure we are hitting the number that we just calculated, we want to be tracking it with an app. If you think you can do it in your head, you can't. And I'm telling you now because I tried to do that and I simply just didn't make any progress for 3 months. And if you think you're the exception to that, you're wrong. Just use the app, make your life easier. Now, any of the apps work. Personally, I use MyFitnessPal because it has the biggest library of foods on their database. If you're going to use MyFitnessPal like me, just make sure not to buy the premium version because it is a waste of money. At this point, you're probably wondering, how the hell do I get to enjoy my favorite foods? Great question. Let me explain. What I'm guiding you through is called flexible dieting. This is when you eat any food up to that calorie deficit number that we calculated. This is probably against everything you've ever been taught about dieting. You might think that you need to have chicken, rice, and broccoli for dinner, salads for lunch, but those are promoted by the old way of dieting. Welcome to the new way. This new way still allows you to have a burger or a pizza, and as long as you hit or are under that calorie deficit number that we calculated, you will still lose fat. You might have noticed places like Domino's or McDonald's that have calories on their menu, which make it super easy to track. However, when you go to most restaurants that don't have calories on the menu, it does make it harder to track, but don't worry, later on in the video, I'm going to show you exactly how to work around this. Component number 4, get to tracking. Tracking should be pretty intuitive within the apps themselves. Play around with a few different ones and see which one you like the best. Now, here are a few mistakes that I made when I first started tracking my foods. 1 is estimating how much food weighs rather than just weighing it. Humans are notoriously bad estimators. Just get some kitchen scales and use them. Number 2 is not tracking cooking oils. These oils are absorbed into your food and can add an extra 200 to 300 calories to a meal. Number 3 is not tracking condiments. Condiments like mayo, sour cream, tomato sauce, or barbecue sauce still have calories, even if it's just adding a little bit of flavor to your meal. Keep in mind that this is new and it seems hard and tedious, but if you stick with it, it will just become second nature. You need to pick a type of exercise. Can you lose weight without exercising? Absolutely. Is it much harder? Yes. Yes, it is. If you're not doing any exercise, 2 things happen. Number 1 is you have to eat significantly less calories because of your lack of movement. And number 2, you will lose muscle and end up with that skinny, fat look. Now, I'm not saying you have to go for an hour a day, every single day, because that's not necessary or realistic for most people. 30 to 45 minutes of activity, 2 to 3 times a week is more than enough to get the ball rolling. For me, that was weightlifting. For you, it might be the same, or CrossFit, running, cycling, swimming. I could go on and on and on. Component number 6 is to step up. A really easy way to accelerate the weight loss process is by increasing your step count. My favorite way to do this is go for a walk every single day, but I know not everyone has time for that. Some other creative ways are by having a standing desk with a walking pad underneath it, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking to your local supermarket instead of driving, taking your dog for an extra walk, going for a walk on your lunch break, or even just going for longer walks on your weekend when you have more time. Component number 7, the big P. Whoa there, perv. I'm not talking about male genitalia, I'm talking about protein. Protein serves 2 very important functions when dieting. Number 1 is that it increases our metabolism the more we have. So it burns more calories, thus burning more fat. And number 2 is that it stops us losing any muscle mass, which is always a concern when we aren't getting enough energy, i.e. calories. So how many grams of protein should you be having? Simply times your body weight in kilos by 1.6, and that is the amount of grams every single day you want to be aiming for. Let's say you're 100 kilos. 100 times 1.6 is 160. So you should be having 160 grams of protein per day. Calorie stacking. Maybe you have an event on, like a friend's birthday dinner or a work function. So what do you do then? You do what's called calorie stacking. Calorie stacking is where you push calories from earlier on in the week to the day of the event. Let me show you what this would look like practically. Let's say your calorie deficit is 2,000 calories per day. You have an event on the Friday night. So from Monday to Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, you would have 1,900 calories. This means now that you can have up to 2,600 calories on that Friday, the day of the event, and still lose the same amount of fat as you would have if you ate 2,000 calories each day. On the day of the event, leave 70% of those calories for the event. The other 30% can be split between breakfast, lunch, or however you like. In this case, that would be roughly 1,800 calories for the event itself, and then 800 calories during the day beforehand. The reason I set it out this way is because it's actually quite difficult to have 1,800 calories in one sitting. Now, I know that was a lot, so let's recap quickly. 1, focus on your diet. 2, calculate your calorie deficit. 3, pick your calorie tracking app. 4, track your calories every day. 5, choose your exercise. 6, increase your step count. around 8 to 10,000 steps per day. 7, up your protein, 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight per day. And 8, calorie stack for more flexibility. If you seriously implement all of these rules to a T and follow it for 3 months, I guarantee you lose somewhere between 5 and 10 kilos. If this video was helpful for you and you know someone who it might also help, please share it with them so we can help as many people as possible.